now tuned into the greatest.
Yo, today's episode will be kind of different with a little bit more explanations from me. Simply because, as much as we haven't been having consistency as much as I want, I'm thinking from next week onwards we'll be having episodes for like 4 times a week. So that's one thing that we should expect. I was just lining up my things in order to get everything right, put in work for you guys here, and apart from putting in work for you, also get other things going for me as an individual, yeah, so that I don't let the tribe down, and we keep on moving forward. Anywho, we've actually gotten really far into Kama Sutra. We've talked about a lot till now. So on upcoming episodes we'll be having talks about relationships. I won't be alone. We'll be having like panels and other stuff. I hope that I'll be able to manifest a lot of equipments within the year. If not, next year we'll get a lot of equipments because we'll be having like a lot of, how can I say this? We'll be having like a lot, and I'm thinking like converting the podcast to English so like anyone and everyone can listen. But if we don't get there, I got my Kenyan sorted, and we'll grow from there. Anyways, apart from that, yeah, even this podcast for today, it's actually like in line with what we're going to be doing at the end. But I'm gonna let you guess, like, what do you think today's podcast is about? Because I was talking about relationships, and then I'm saying that it's aligned. What do you think it's about? Anyways, guys, chapter 5, Surah 5, it's called How Did It All Begin? I hope we can finish this in a matter of a week. We finish this book, Hammer. I've got so much installed, and I would like you guys to get to listen to this. Anyways, how did it all begin? I'm going to be reading a few, but mostly I'll be elaborating what he's been saying here. And yes, I might misquote him, so I will suggest like you get the book. It's not a must you buy it. There are many sources out there where you can just download it for free. Yeah, so let's go. Pure intelligence creates memory out of itself. The rest of creation projects memory as intelligence. Sorry. So the first heading was like intelligence invents memory. So that's the basically explanation of what I just said. Like intelligence creates memory, and there's a difference between intelligence and memory. So he started by asking questions. How did the merry-go-round begin? Like how? Because it seems like everything he's been talking about is cycles throughout. Like there's three moon cycles, 12 moon cycles. There's I think it was the 3-year cycles or the 11-year cycles. I can't remember well. Like I've been taking a lot of time to go through this, but I hope you guys are following. Anyways, he's talking about how did this cycle begin? What got this cycle started? So he gave us a short story about a Russian who was working in a factory. So the inspector got to the factory and asked the worker, if you had a shot of vodka, do you think it will still work? The worker was like, I guess so. The inspector asked her again, if you had a double shot of the vodka, would you still work? The guy was like, he shrugged, like, I think I can. It's just a double shot of vodka. I think I can. He said again, like he was. It's like he was asking, if you are drunk, will you still come? Because like he kept on going, and it was as if, like, say, are you messing with me? I think that was what was the worker saying, because the inspector asked, and if you had 5 shots of vodka, could you still work? The worker was like, hey, aren't I here? So like that anecdote was basically like introducing to you, like, even though there's this cycle going on, things are happening on this side, yeah. So he's like using that guy of vodka, like, you personally, you've had like a lot shots of vodka, a lot of shots of vodka. So right now, it's just your fathers who are living through you, repeating the same old theater of life with the same cues, the same triggers, the same reaction over and over again. So it's like, if it's my forefathers, where am I? Like, if my forefathers are living through me, where am I? So like he said, you're impaired by karma. Like, if one, it's the same as like someone who's been getting 5 shots of vodka. That's how karma is affecting you. Like, people have been drinking, you've been drinking vodka throughout. Like, it's been passed down. Everything has been passed down. So the difference between how should I say this? The difference between you and your forefathers is that you have a lot of karma to carry, while they had lesser and lesser. So as it goes down in the line, yeah, it tends to increase. Like, the karma gets to be pushed on to the next generation if it hasn't been worked in the previous generation. That's my train of thought here. Even if you get social success, you get financial success, you still have that suffering, because you're driving under the influence of karma. Because this karma isn't being worked, then you are carrying it throughout. Yeah. So that's the main reason why he says you're under the influence of vodka. This karma hasn't been worked by anyone. So if you work it out, then you won't push it on to the next. It'll be a different starting point. So you might be asking yourself, why this repetition of karma being pushed, and for humans who seek freedom from karma, this is really natural, yeah. So if you want to become free outside influence, and you don't want your long dead grandfather or your mother to be pushing your buttons long after they are gone, you might want to consider stepping out of the cycle of karma, out of the carousel. Hence the question, why karma? Who started this karma? What's the origin of memory? What's its source? How did the whole drama begin? Anyways, for me personally, I'm not bothered with why karma, who started this cycle, what's the source. I'm not bothered about that. I'm more focused on, since it's here, how about I become free of it, then live on. After becoming free of it, then maybe then I can ask, why karma? Why this cycle? Why memory? Like, that's my train of thought. Like, I want just to get done with this karma thingamajig action. I want to get done with the action. After I'm done, I've sorted it out, it's not influencing me, then move. But if you have these questions, if you have to know about all this drama, then here it goes. This is what you expect. Yeah, it's actually in accordance to what we'll be having in the next sessions of the podcast. Anyways, let's go. The many creation myths in the world have tried to address this question in a variety of ways. The yogic creation is a science of truth, expression, striking, poetic, imaginary. So, why I read that is he's basically saying that what I'm telling you is from the yogic. Yeah, it's from the yogic creation story. Yeah. So the yogic creation story is actually an interesting one. Yeah. It talks about Shiva. So there's Shiva, not Shiva. There's Shi space Va. Yeah, there's a difference between Shiva and Shiva. Why am I rephrasing it like that, man? Anyways, it's the yogic creation story. It tells us about like an infinite space. So imagine the whole space without the planets, the stars, just black. That's a picture that I'm printing inside your mind. It's not like what he's actually saying here. I hope you don't get the two mix up, because very easy. So there's infinite empty space. So this is a dimension where there is no memory at all. Yeah. So he says that space is just pure intelligence, yet it exists. So intelligence is there with nothing else, just pure intelligence. So he calls that intelligence Shiva. Yeah. For Shiva, what it means, Shiva means that which is not. So for the yogic creation story, Shiva was there. It had no origin. It's just something that was self-created itself. It's been existing. It's there. There's no debate on where did it come from, how did it be, whatever. You can relate it as God for Christians, but it's still, it's, if you wanted to relate it, you will call Shiva God. I think you get to understand it better if you're a Christian and you're listening to it. And yeah, let's just keep going. Now, the very birth of form. So there's this thing called form, and he wants to tell us how this form was birthed. Yeah. So the very birth of form, even if in its wave, or if you want to say particles, necessitates memory. So if you want form, you'll need memory, like form, like something formed. I'm forming, not information, like a box shape. Like if you create a box shape, it needs memory. If you create a rectangle shape, it needs memory. A triangle shape, like that form needs memory. Like you have to know how it looks like for you to be able to create it. That's what basically he's elaborating there. Yeah? That form didn't emerge from nothing. It's from a temple of your parents that you are created, like the form body. So now he tells us about the body form. That's how it comes from your parents. This means that memory or karma is a prerequisite for form. Like it's something that comes from form. Like memory comes from form. You can't draw a box or a circle if you've never seen one. So that's form, yeah. So how did the form happen? How did the form materialize? Without memory, that first one. So he said, like, for the yogics, there's this personification of a concept that infuses drama in it and turns it into a story. Like when you watch a movie, yeah, it's just there in a sense that you start watching a movie, there's this main character, you don't know what he's all about, but they start giving you the drama of it for you to get that story. So every story needs a drama, every form needs a drama. Like there's something that needs to be done to it for the form to take shape. Like people in the previous days didn't know what a box is. I doubt that they even used boxes, yeah. But you start creating something, then it starts taking form, and you're like, yeah. Okay, that's just my train of thought, yeah. So he tells us that the story mode enables it to speak of dimensions that's beyond the human realm, yeah. And so this dimension out of the human realm, out of the logic, it personifies the infinite emptiness. Like it gives the emptiness drama. Like it's empty, now we want to make drama out of that emptiness. Hence there'll be some activity inside that emptiness. I hope you guys are beginning to understand this. Like for Christians, it's like God coming in and saying, this place is empty, let there be light. Then it lights up. Like he creates the drama. God is the maker of the drama, yeah. Like God is personified to make things, like to create. I hope nobody is lost at this point, yeah. I think we should have a pastor and like elaborate a couple of things, yeah. Anyways, that emptiness was personified, and that Shiva, that which is not, it was changed into Shiva, the divine being who is the source of all creation. So Shiva changed to Shiva, the source of creation. And that's how the story began. Like there was empty, there was drama instilled into that emptiness, then poof, Shiva comes in, a being who created or which created itself. So Shiva was the god of all creation. Okay, this word that he used, it's called nascent state. Nascent. So I'm quickly like going to Google the the name nascent, because it's terrible telling you about something and even not knowing its definition or anything. Yeah. So from from the dictionary, my Google, which is not a dictionary, anyways, from Google, nascent is just coming into existence and beginning to display signs of full potential. If you want to go to chemistry, freshly generated in an active form, so that's chemistry. And that's the other thing is an an explanation of nascent. Yeah? So Shiva just coming to being, yeah, in a potential state where he had no karma because he was just pure intelligence. Yeah, there was drama, then the intelligence formed Shiva. Yeah, now we have Shiva. Then an element of dynamism entered into the emptiness. And for element of dynamism, it's like an action, an action, an action came to Shiva. Like Shiva is there, then there's action coming in. And, so this action is called Shakti. Shakti. I love this this Indian terms. Yeah, I think it's Indian terms. Yeah. So that active term of Shakti is an active aspect of emptiness. So apparently this Shakti is a woman because he uses the term she approached Shiva and began to play with him. So anytime right now, yeah, call me a pervert, fine, yes I am one. Every time I hear the word she approached he, I'm like, damn, you're finna do that? You're about to do that? You serious? Anyways, yeah, that's my train of thought, and I'm okay with that. If you are not, I have nothing to say, but just take it the way it is. Yeah. So when Shiva began to play with Shakti, the human imagination sees the first karma as a sexual act. So like he diverges us, like they were playing. So to them they were playing, but to us humans, this is, we're seeing karma as a sexual act. Like so the two beings in there were like bang bang bang. They were banging. Yeah. So as she aroused him, he woke with a great roar. Like you can imagine, like a girl is there seducing this guy. So this guy is just trying to hold himself. He's trying to hold himself, but bang! He's up and he's like, I want some of that. So like Shiva and Shakti, these are like you could say human beings. You could say gods. That's up to you to decide, not me. But yeah, let's continue. So he assumed a form, like that form. So he calls that form alinga. Alinga. Like I have no idea how to pronounce some of these words, but I try my best. I do try. Maybe I'll listen to the audiobook and get to hear how they are pronounced. Yeah. So a primal episodial form. So alinga, that state of arousal, is called linga. I like that word, but I'll be using it. I think I start using like other languages to say things. Maybe it sound funny or fun. Yeah. So So that yogic story tells us how Alinga was created. Alinga is form, yeah. So it tells us how form was created, yeah. All form was created, like planets, stars, and everything, yeah. And with that sexual act, we are told that the whole creation began. The sexual act between Shiva and Shakti ignited the void into a dynamic state of creation, maintenance, and destruction. So, with sex, sexual act, there's creation, there's maintenance, there's destruction. Like that's one whole process here. Like, if I'm going to relate it with a human life, a human will be created, a human will be maintained to get to a point that he maintains or she maintains himself, then he or she destructs, dies here. Like, that is the process. That is just the process, yeah. Creation, maintenance, destruction. So he says, hence, thus, there emerges the grand theatre of cosmos. Time, space, name, form, birth, death, as in all this came up from that one sexual act, yeah? Otherwise, before that, it wasn't there. So I'm just going to read what he's written here, eh? Gradually, form began to perpetuate more form, like form created more form, like multiplying itself. Then memory began to spawn more memory. Like, can you see the pattern, the cycle? Like, form begins to perpetuate more form, like it memory begins to create more memory, then form creates more form. It's like we're going in a circle, man. Like, something same is happening in a different way. The coming cycle was not now set into motion. Yeah. Anyways, I'm just okay. From there on, I'll just elaborate the book because there's no point of me reading it per se. He said some physicists he met agreed with him that the Big Bang, yeah, the Big Bang, that bang, the universe could have happened, could have been a series of bangs. Like, Big Bang is not just one big bang, it's bang after bang after like the first bang, it creates something, then there's another bang, another thing is created, then after that another thing is created. Think about it, like how like there are many. Let's take it this way. There's an island full of women, yeah. A man is introduced into that island. That's a very big bang. Yeah, one bang after. So the island will end up being populated, yeah, like really populated. So he goes like into more of mechanics than on logic, but mechanics is still logic, yeah. What I'm trying to like say is he goes us and gets to like a real down to earth sort of thing, yeah. So in an automobile, it's more like in a car. You just imagine a car engine, yeah, and an engine has something called a manifold. So he says if you take off the manifold, then you start that engine, it'll sound really terrible. Like bang, 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 bang. Like you'll be hearing that noise, yeah. Because the manifold covers, so you don't hear the engine noise. Because I've been working in a garage for like a couple of months, yeah. You can imagine the amount of noise that happens there when you're trying to start the engine. Because we mostly worked on cars that didn't have. We hadn't put that engine inside the car, so the manifold is still there and everything. So when you start it, like there's a lot of noise, yeah. So if you throttle the manifold up, then the engine starts roaring like it's not on the ground, it's lifted in the air, so there's not that much noise, so there's roar coming from the engine. So he was explaining just a little bit of that. So those bang after bang after bang created a roar. So he goes ahead and says that big bang of modern science and the big roar of the yogic law are not so different. So for yogis and scientists, the story of creation are just hand in hand. Like this cloud, then bang bang bang, then things form up, yeah. So that's the interesting thing about the yogi culture, is it is hand in hand with science, which is very interesting. It shows that there's a creation pattern, yeah. In a vacuum state, what does a vacuum state means? It's somewhere there where there is nothing inside, yeah. So he goes ahead and tells us about something that's scientific, how in that small vacuum there are protons and neurons. Oh, wow, big scientific term nobody understands. So in that vacuum state, if you bring in some activity, actually he's like using like okay, he's not using like how should I say this, he's not using like really heavy words. I just don't want to like use his exact terms, because I don't know, I want to make it simple for someone who doesn't even know what an atom is, or a proton, or a neuron. Yeah. So it's an empty space. Then there are two small things inside, like two small things of the opposite. They are inside. Yeah. So for these two things, yeah, if you bring action inside that vacuum state, these two small things will react with each other and bring out form from nothing. That's scientifically proven, yeah. In a place where there's completely nothing, like in a vacuum, if you bring in some activity inside there, then something will form. So we've already known what the path of form is. He's already given us like a scientific explanation. So I'm going to just read a bit. It is only because of elemental, atomic, and evolutionary memory that a snake is different from a tree. So like he's saying it's because of the action of elements and elements and atoms, that a snake is different from a tree. A man is different from a human. What else can I say? A mountain is different from a lake. It's because of the activities of these two things called atomic and elemental and evolutionary memory. Yeah, so memory is the reason why all these things are different. Yeah, it was, for a lack of better words, this memory was fucking around. So it found out like, this was created, this was created, this is a boy, this is a girl. It was messing around, so it found out. Yeah, anyways, I'll stop using my terms now. Let's get back to this thing. I want to finish it in a few, because it's going to be a long day for me today, yeah? Traveling and stuff. You see, not surprisingly, Shiva as a deity is considered to have no parentage, no ancestry, no past whatsoever. He is called Shwayambhu. Self-created, yeah. Shwayambhu is self-created. So it's Shiva, Shwayambhu, maybe they'll get another name, we don't know. I have never been to like the Indian whatever. Anyways, so he says there's a major difference between a source and a creation and the rest of creation. Like there's a source, this creation, then there's these other things that have been created. There's a major difference. And the difference is the rest of creation projects memory as intelligence. That's the major difference. Like people like the creation, the rest of creation thinks of memory as intelligence. You think memory is intelligence, but memory isn't intelligence. Memory is just stored information, while intelligence is like the creation of that memory. Yeah, I hope nobody is lost. Then he talks about Adam and Eve. He gets into the Christian aspect of it. Then, like, if you get to Adam and Eve, birth is memory based. Knowledge is the beginning of the fall. So he says that it's with knowledge that Adam and Eve fell from paradise. It is with knowledge, one may say, that the trap begins. Human beings now moved from percentile intelligence to memory that projects itself as intelligence. Pristine. What the hell is pristine? Let's Google. Pristine. So pristine. It is in its original condition, unspoiled, clean and fresh, as if new, spotless. So like it says, if it's human beings now moved from fresh and clean intelligence to memory that projects itself as intelligence. So like before, it was in its original condition, like it was intelligence, but people turned intelligence into memory. I don't know why I'm yawning this early in the morning. It's 5 and there's chickens cooking outside. That's cock. I don't know. Anyways, so the journey from intelligence to intellect and form consciousness to self-consciousness. Like there's a journey where the human beings went through they were intelligent. There's this form, they journeyed from intelligence, like human beings were intelligent. Then they got to intellect. Now they were using intellect, yeah? And they were conscious. Like human beings in the past days were conscious. They had consciousness. From consciousness to self-consciousness. Like it was, I am conscious. Now it's like self-conscious and like, human beings have really changed and undergone a major like change, transformation, yeah. So what we call knowledge right now, yeah, refers to frozen accumulated memory. So what we say, knowledge is power, that's memory. That's memory, man. It's something that was found out. It was there like 100 years ago, and it's been like taken and being pushed, yeah. So he goes us and tells us that there's this thing called knowing. And he says knowing is a dynamic process, an active process. Knowing is there, knowing is it's like when you know something, that's wisdom, not dead information. Like an innocent kid, why am I calling it an innocent kid? Because he hasn't done any crime. That innocent kid, they come to instinctively know that they have to survive, pick up things from their parents. That's knowing. That's from them. If they didn't get to understand this, like, then they couldn't. That's the pure essence of knowing. Like, you're a kid, you don't know nothing. The reason why I'm saying this is because, like, when we're talking with the family, I have nephews and nieces, yeah. So we're talking about applying for interviews and everything. So my niece, she looks at me and she asks me this question: what is applying for a job? Like, this is a big term for her, for a 6-year-old, yeah, because you don't expect, as in, at the back of my head right now, because like I got to know and understand a lot of things. I don't know, like now I'm confused, yeah, but bear with me. I am not a person to work with politically correct or anything. So I got to understand a couple of things. One thing, as a kid, that kid does not know stuff. They're beginning to like get to read books, get to understand things out there. Like they haven't. Let me say they don't have this information. They haven't acquired that information. Because you can imagine a kid asking me, what is applying for a job? So I dumbed it down to her size, yeah, like putting words that I think she has heard and can understand, yeah. Hence I told her this, like, for you to like get to work, there's a process that you need to undergo. That is, you apply. Like, for not using the same word to define the same thing, I would have actually said this: the applying for job is a process that you need to undergo to get a job. That's what I actually said to her, yeah. Like, that knowing, she has that knowing in her that she needs to acquire this to be able to live on. Like, if you have that knowledge, then that is wisdom, not dead information. I hope that nobody is lost there. Anyways, let's wrap it up. Like, we're about to finish our session for today, and I'm about to start preparing. So for Adam and Eve, they grew fascinated of the end product, that sexual act, instead of nourishing that tree of life. Yeah, I think that's why God was like wondering, like, hey, things have not been going on. It's like Adam hasn't been looking after the garden. Like, what's happening? Then he found them like they were. I don't want to make any noises right now. It's 5 a.m. in the morning. Anyways, I could have made like really nasty sound effects, but we preserve. So I'm going to read like this statement. They began choosing product or process, destination of a journey, karma of a yoga, knowledge of a knowing. So it's like you get fascinated with the end product, you forget the process. Like, if you want to fall in love, fine, you've had sex with her, now you feel like, I want to get to know her. I want the end product all the time. What about that process? What about that process? Yeah, like people forget that end process. They forget that process of doing something, the process of discovery, the process of, it's basically, I hope you're getting, you want to finish a book, you forget that you have to read through the book. That process, I want to finish this book with you guys, but we can't do that unless like I go through it. And that's basically karma. If you don't go through it, then how else will you get to understand? Anyways, the consequences of the actions. People started thinking that life is a means to an end. So people think that the purpose of life is death. Like, you forget that life is just a process. You don't go through the process. You're worried about you'll die. What about the process? Yeah. And that's really a sad way to live life. Like, you're living because one day you'll die. So the moment you decide to stand apart, you create divisions, man. Like, if I'm not living just because I know I'll die, like, YOLO, you only live once, yeah? If you just live for today, if you just be at that moment, separate the root, the stem, the fruit, the past, present, and future, then time will form. And it says bondage begins. Because you have birth of time, bondage begins. That's when, yeah. So the cycles that are there, like this is basically in the East, where there are fall of birth cycles. This fall of birth cycle, the repetitive cycles are called samsara. That's the birth of memory, form, cycles, birth and death. So they don't see it this process as good or bad. It's just the process and nothing but the process. It's not a means to an end. Yeah, it's the way things are when viewed from a limited perspective. If time is born, then memory is important. You get it? So the moment this memory grows complex, other things are put inside. This begins to form like a different behavior of a same thing. Like, I can't say like my great grandfather was the same as me. Yes, there's some behavior that they have that are his, but apart from that, I have some other small more complexity that makes me different from him. Yeah, that's what he was basically trying to explain when he was talking about that aspect, that memory, that whatever. So I'm going to finish up with what he wrote. Look at the utter staggering diversity of creation, all made possible by capacity of primordial intelligence to create memory. Like, everything is different because of memory. Memory had memory, another memory was there, another memory was there. Everything was mixed up. You can imagine like getting soda, vodka, energy drink, whiskey, water, all these things, then you mix it up, it'll be like something on its own. Like, well, I can't imagine taking such kind of drink. Maybe I have, I don't know. But you could only imagine that type of thing happening, yeah. And with we'll be talking about next time. We'll be talking about authentic intelligence versus artificial intelligence, and I think we can wrap up the session for today. Hence, I'll tell you guys, welcome to the Sage Be Me podcast. I was your host today, Sage Be Me, and you're in for a world of excitement, fun, and enjoyment. And for the guys, we still have that section going on where it's just guys and guys alone. I'll be pushing, like, we get like to understand more, because I personally don't understand. Hence, I'd like more of you guys out there to get to understand as well. As you get the reason why I'm telling you you'll get to understand is because if you around, you find out. Why am I using the F word? If you mess around, you find out. And if you don't mess around, you don't find out. I'll be messing around and you'll be finding out.